was meant to be a night of glamour. A humanitarian award, glitzy lighting, and a red carpet in New York that ought to have shouted solidarity. Instead, it seemed like the conclusion of a tale that had been developing for years. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle entered Spring Studios with the intention of pitching a fantasy. However, the fissures weren't merely visible, they were rupturing. Well, as soon as they got out of the vehicle, they were deceived by their body language. Harry followed Meghan as she moved forward, looking sharp and put together in her black tailored suit that finally seemed to fit, only a little bit behind. Not close enough to be in sync as a couple anyway. It is clumsy, chilly and mechanical, yet not far enough to be arranged. She looked at him and went upstairs. The kind of look that speaks for itself. When they arrive home, you know that topic will blow up. However, it didn't end there. On stage, the actual performance took place. Meghan gave her well-practiced lecture on shielding kids from the risks of social media. As if they were case studies in tech ethics, she mentioned Archie and Leet by name. Remember, too, that she is the same mum who has profited on her children's privacy through well-planned public relations campaigns. The disparity was nearly absurd. When every picture, public appearance, and Netflix moment is meticulously planned, Meghan plays the worried mother. Harry, meanwhile, sat dead-eyed next to her. The affectionate look was gone. The energy was gone. He had the appearance of a man eager to leave the stage. And this is what truly made folks talk. She wasn't even introduced by Harry. That's his specialty. He generally puts her first. So this is a minor but noticeable change. Creates the scene. Gives her the floor in a husbandly manner. Not that night, anyhow. He didn't bother that night. And her response to him was a dagger-like gaze. Not the type of glare for the cameras. It's the kind that disappears when you don't even realize the cameras are there. It was even noticed by the crowd. Thus was apathetic, at best courteous. Neither magic nor spark was present. Just a couple going through the motions in front of a packed room. A program about virtue signaling and activism. However, the crowd sensed the discrepancy. Meghan made an effort to deliver her words with polish, with the accuracy of an actor. Harry's quiet, however, spoke loudest. He was no longer faking or even playing along. Let's now discuss the speech. As if he were spearheading a movement, Harry attempted to mobilize the audience by discussing families torn apart by social media and citing statistics and tragedies. But he spoke slowly. There was no conviction or urgency in his tone. One may assume that someone who lost his own mother to media mania would have more impactful things to say. It wasn't about the cause, though. The topic was optics. It didn't feel like a mission, but more like a PR duty. He was genuinely dull, lifeless, and aloof. The true star of the evening wasn't even present in the room, as they stood there attempting to gather support for concerns that seemed to only reverberate. Marcus Anderson was the one, the man who has been present at every significant point in their relationship. From their initial public appearances to the Netflix series, is Meghan's constant shadow, documentaries until date. Once more he hovered and watched. You can't help but wonder if he's the third wheel that never leaves, or if he's just a friend. Because this is the harsh reality that Harry has examined. Additionally, it appears that he has no problem with Meghan being blamed for their current predicament. People are taking notice. The press is in motion. It's difficult for even their most devoted fans to spin this one. The prize for Humanitarian of the Year ought to have been a moment of triumph. Rather, it was a live broadcast of a shaky relationship, with the entire globe watching every moment. The actual event that warranted headlines was taking place on the other side of the Atlantic, while Meghan and Harry awkwardly held the spotlight. Prince William and King Charles arrived together for a high-profile Copy30 event in London. It was a rare combined appearance that was more than merely ceremonial. It was a deliberate action intended to convey a message without using words. Despite its recent rifts, Monarchy was presenting a unified image to the world, and it was successful. It was evident in the pictures. The touch on the shoulder, the shared smiles, the small gestures. It was not a show. What important was being rebuilt by a father and son. Old William was especially noticeable, Because he carried the weight of the situation so naturally, not because he was trying. Calm, collected, and emotionally open in a manner that is once a brother. He now has a certain seriousness about him, and there they had a story if the media so desired. William Rose's subtly released short film for Suicide Prevention Day further accentuated the difference between Harry and Rose, as Harry descended further into controlled anarchy. Just a calm, sincere talk with a bereaved lady in Cardiff who had lost her young boy and her husband to suicide 5 days earlier. No stage, no suit, no spotlight. The time that William, Prince of Wales, who would go on to become King of England, who was seated across from her, fought back tears. The true humanitarian effort was that, not prizes. Well, just presents, not speeches. And he left that feeling in there. He allowed it to remain. He carried the agony even though it wasn't his, and he wanted others to feel it. That's the distinction. It's not about him, which is why people react to him. It hasn't been. Neither Catherine nor William are shown lecturing the public, denouncing opponents, or exploiting the suffering of children to further their political agendas. You witness them encouraging others. Harry's recent media blitz is comparable to that. Speaking at a Movember event, he warned that silence kills people, and discussed how males are being raised by algorithms. However, this tone of resentment permeates every word he says, as if he's still attempting to make amends. He discusses mental health indeed. Health is more than just helping. The shadow of control is always present. The drive to control, regulate, and restrict what can be spoken about him. William's goal when discussing mental health is to establish a connection. Harry's actions had the sense of a campaign. Catherine is the next in line. Meghan makes headlines for her outfit, but Catherine silences them with her words. She didn't write a dramatic essay about the negative effects of social media. It was contemplative. She was providing perspective, not accusation. Clarity is sufficient. Drama is not necessary. When she wore a basic Victoria Beckham suit to Oxford, the internet was infatuated with it. Well, it was elegant, not because it was noisy. Like William's, her presence stems from serenity rather than mayhem. People are worn out. I'm sick of the drama. I'm sick of lectures. I'm sick of seeing two individuals act fake on stage. Sick of seeing two individuals act fake on stage. To remain on the same side as long as the fissures are visible from orbit. The other royal pair, meanwhile, simply keeps turning up. There is no greater contrast than to labor quietly, regularly, and without fanfare, not to make it about themselves. And it became brutally obvious who was truly living it and who was merely acting on a night that was supposed to honor bravery and service. The atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace is changing. Once cautiously hopeful that Harry would find a way to return to the royal family, senior aides are no longer retaining their breath. The idea that the harm isn't over is becoming more and more prevalent. It's irreversible. Additionally, Charles, the parent who receives more olive branches than anyone could have imagined, is clearly exhausted. Well, from disappointment as well as disease. He has hope, perhaps out of love, perhaps out of habit. However, even that is beginning to resemble denial. In private, his health is deteriorating, more difficult to conceal. His suits have gotten so baggy that even cosmetics can't hide that. How often he needs to sleep now? Rumors circulate about his extended naps, exhaustion, and the way his eyes stray during conversations. He is still focused and dedicated, but his physical condition is deteriorating, and that fact is quickly becoming apparent. Camilla has also evolved. She's no longer merely the king's silent companion. She has grown increasingly reclusive. According to some, she is fighting her own health problems. Some claim it's the stress of seeing her husband deteriorate while the kingdom struggles internally with anarchy. Even while she will never express it in public, she is under a lot of pressure, particularly as William gets ready to take on even more responsibility earlier than anticipated. In the meantime, William is showing up as the constant in this situation. The anchor, not simply the heir. He gave up attempting to mend Harry's connection. That phase is finished. Then he has grieved it in private, proceeded with a silent determination. His current focus is on creating a secure, long-lasting relationship with Catherine that doesn't require dazzling speeches or Netflix specials to demonstrate its worth. Everything has a profound irony to it. Harry used to be the lovable outlaw who made the company feel cozy, but now he looks colder than anyone. Furthermore, Meghan, the stranger who might have been a welcome change, has instead come to represent conflict, alienation, and division. Their humanitarian award, a picture opportunity. Their remarks, public relations campaigns, the audience senses it. The cheers are no longer genuine. Like clapping after a poor play because you're too nice to boo, it's reflexive and hollow. Despite everything, Meghan appears intent on continuing to fabricate the story. Her fashion sense has changed. Her face has changed. The branding is the same, but the clothes are more stylish. She wants to be perceived as the one who was silenced by the crown, the victim, and the visionary. People aren't buying it, though. Not when every appearance is so clearly orchestrated and painstakingly manufactured. The general populace is not a moron. They are able to detect whether the curtains are drawn too tightly. The continual presence of Marcus Anderson has also not been helpful. He is more than a friend. He is now a symbol, a reminder that there are always other people present. Meghan's ear is constantly being whispered to. The fact that Harry allows him to stay close says it all. It's dissociation, not trust. Harry no longer cares enough to oppose it. He isn't a husband protecting his personal space. This man is merely going through the motions while he waits for anything to happen. Additionally, something will give. That much is obvious. This train is coming to a stop, whether it's through another sensational interview, a quiet legal separation, or simply the eventual erosion of their public image. Because the royal machine is made to last, it will continue to run. William and Catherine will assume control because they deserve it. And King Charles will use his last strength to try to keep what's left together for however long he lives. However, Harry and Meghan's tale is no longer one of romance or revolt. The public is slowly unraveling, and no prize, no speech, and no meticulously produced video can don't hide that anymore.